notre industrie canadienne de l'acier face à notre président international, ça nourrit en tabarouette. Toujours un rapport de force qui peut jouer entre deux pays comme ça, avec le leadership canadien face au leadership américain. On n'en a jamais parlé de ça, puis on n'en fera jamais la promotion, parce que notre grand syndicat international est plus important encore. Mais Ken, cette fois-là, a mis son pied à terre, puis il a dit aux Américains, c'est assez, vous ne ferez pas ça. Puis il a fait reculer les Américains, tout à son honneur. Toute la question des plaintes anti-dumping aussi. Syndicat des métallos, on est le seul syndicat qui met en branle des plaintes anti-dumping pour s'assurer que quand il y a des produits qui sont faits dans des pays en voie de développement, exemple, en Thaïlande, en Corée, des places comme ça qui viennent dumper des produits ici puis qui nuisent à notre industrie, on ne pouvait pas, nous, syndicalement, déposer une plainte à la Cour fédérale pour initier une enquête d'anti-dumping. C'est grâce au leadership de Ken qu'on est le premier syndicat à aller s'adresser à la Cour fédérale, à faire témoigner des élus locaux, des gens du Québec ici, que ce soit dans la barre d'armature, que ce soit dans l'industrie du tube de métal, s'adresser puis surtout gagner ces cas-là. C'est Ken qui a pensé à ça. On n'entend plus beaucoup parler de Napoléon Gomez. Hein? Ceux qui ça fait plusieurs assemblées annuelles, vous venez ici, vous vous souvenez, Napoléon Gomez, un leader syndical du Mexique, que sa tête était mise à prix au Mexique. C'est Ken qui l'a pris sous son aile ici au Canada. Je ne sais pas combien d'années on l'a gardé. Puis finalement, quand Napoléon a retraversé la frontière pour retourner à nouveau au Mexique, qui était à ses côtés? Ken Neumann. Toute la question du lobby des faillites, Nicolas nous en a parlé tantôt, ça prend des ressources. Rencontrer 250 députés et sénateurs. C'est Ken qui a tout débloqué ces budgets-là. Quand on a appelé, quand Nico il m'est arrivé avec cette idée de fou-là, il a embarqué dedans aussi. Puis quand je suis arrivé avec cette idée de fou-là à Ken, bien Ken il a embarqué dedans aussi. Puis regardez le résultat, des membres de la base. Ken, au nom du syndicat des métallos du district 5, je tiens à te souhaiter une excellente retraite, une longue retraite. On en parlait ce midi. J'espère que ce n'est pas ta dernière assemblée annuelle. C'est ta dernière assemblée annuelle en tant que directeur canadien, mais tu seras toujours le bienvenu ici à notre assemblée annuelle. Je tiens à vous dire, hier, quand je parlais que j'ai eu des moments pas trop faciles, 2 fois. 2 fois, j'ai appelé Ken. J'ai dit, Ken, j'ai besoin de jaser, besoin de parler. Ben, il dit, Dom, on va parler. Je dis, non, j'ai besoin d'aller te voir. Sauter dans mon char, aller descendre à Toronto, d'aller prendre une grande marche avec Ken, une autre fois de prendre l'avion, aller-retour dans la même journée, aller à Toronto. Ken a toujours été là pour moi, toujours été là pour le Syndicat des métallos, toujours été là pour l'ensemble de la classe ouvrière canadienne et québécoise. Je vous présente Ken Neumann.
Bonjour, confrères, consoeurs. Merci, Dominique. Et là tout, la district 5. De m'inviter pour vous adresser aujourd'hui. C'est mon plaisir d'être ici avec vous en personne pour ma dernière assemblée comme directeur national. Dominic, thank you very much for the invite and for that very kind introduction. But I want to find out where you got all those pictures from. I also just want to say that I'm very happy to be here with you in person. And I hope that soon we'll all be able to resume even more in-person activities. This is the first time for a long time that I've been before a group such as dedicated steelworkers as I'm here today. It's always been an honor for me, as Dominic has said, in regards to be here at the Quebec Assembly. I don't think I have missed a single assembly since I became the National Director in 2004. I must say it's been a difficult 2 years It's been since we've seen each other last. I know it's not been easy for everyone, especially for our members who have worked on the front lines through this terrible pandemic. I want to recognize the strong leadership of Dominic, your director, and also for Donnell through these very difficult times. Now, to all the steelworkers across the district who have worked so hard through these times, I think that we can all say that COVID has changed us. The pandemic has also highlighted some of the deep flaws that are currently present in our economy. Things such as low pay and poor health and safety conditions for most of our essential workers, especially those who are not unionized. The closure of schools, childcare centers, and leading to record numbers of women who were forced out of labor markets due to unequal care responsibilities. Supply chain problems and the effects of decades of outsourcing and trade deals that allowed cheap goods into the markets at the expense of our workers and the environment. These are all the things that we as a union have been saying for decades and have fought to improve for our members. Perhaps now we all are here in Quebec, where you have fought back against austerity measures, changes to health and safety laws, where you have a $10 a day child care in place as a strong aluminum sector providing high quality environmental sustainable products. But we have still a lot of work to do. And I know all too well the dangers of having unfriendly right-wing governments. Having lived through the aftermath of brutal Mike Harris years in the 1990s in Ontario and currently through Doug Ford government, I know too well the impact of successive right-wing governments and the negative impact it can have on workers. Look no further than the CAC's Bill 59. You all know this far better than I do, but I know from talking with the leadership here that we will not only see more attacks on workers if they are re-elected for another term. Just like in Ontario and Alberta, the right-wing parties are trying to play themselves off as the true voice of workers. We know this is the furthest thing from the truth when we look at their actual policies and attacking working people. So what do we need to do? We need to come together and to organize workers and to make sure that we have better conditions for our essential workers. We need governments that are not afraid to invest into social programs from childcare to pharmacare. We need a trading system that protects our Quebec and Canadian markets. And we need policies that are going to promote the use of steel and aluminum that made by workers right here in Quebec and the rest of Canada. The pandemic also demonstrates to us the problem with the employment insurance system. Even though we pay into it, it does not always provide adequate protection when workers need it the most. And we have seen more strikes, and workers are saying enough is enough. Look at the conditions that we have worked in throughout the pandemic, and you want to come back to offer no wage increases and further cuts to pensions? I don't think so. There have been a number of strikes and lockouts in all of the districts in the past year and a half. I am sure that there is many people here today that were among the 2,500 members of the 5 locals of ArcelorMittal who stood strong in face of powerful global multinationals to win important contract gains. We've also seen employers trying to resist the rise in working powers. They've locked out our members in some cases across the country, and they even tried some very dirty tricks. Here in Quebec, you don't have to look any further than Glencore Mine at Raglan. The members rejected the contract, so what did the employer do? They got rid of the security staff. This is completely unacceptable, and I know that we will support the district and the local 9449 however we can in a fight against this rotten employer. Friends, there are so many current issues for us to talk about today. I've already said a few words about provincial politics. Of course, I've always respected Quebec and the district to make its decisions on who you will support politically. We all have the same fundamental goals of advancing workers' power and its interests. I won't go in too long about this year's last federal election, but there are a few things that I need to say. We were left with largely the same result that we had before going into this election. With only a few changes here and there, we were left to think that why was there even an election? With the minority government, the Bloc and the NDP holding the balance of power, this could provide us with an excellent opportunity to advance some of our legislative interests at the federal level. But I have to say it was disappointing to see bills lost just like that because of an election that was called. District 5 and the Canadian National Office have put a lot of work into the Pension Protection Bill C-253. The Bloc and District 5 worked with the NDP and our office to get a joint support of this bill across all party lines. It was disappointing to see it fall by the wayside as the useless election was called. Our union, particularly in District 5 and 6, have a lot of experience with rich shareholders and others getting the pension money in the case of bankruptcy ahead of our workers where it properly belongs. This is simply unacceptable, and this is the workers' money. And instead, it just goes into people who already have so much. Working together in Quebec and the rest of Canada is the only way we can bring back this to the forefront and achieve the necessary reform. Friends, we need to join together to hold the Liberals' feet to the fire on issues like pharmacare, childcare, and just transition. They've promised pharmacare so many times, and somehow it just never gets done. With this second minority government, we need to push the Liberals to finally pass the pharmacare legislation which has been promised time and time again. On childcare, the federal government is now offering the provinces funding to implement a $10 daycare childcare. Quebec has led the way on this issue with the introduction of $5 a day care and stronger parental leave provisions all the way back in the late 1990s. It's time for the rest of Canada to catch up. We have seen what affordable, accessible childcare programs has meant to parents in Quebec. And both in Quebec and the rest of Canada, we need to ensure that childcare workers are paid what they deserve, and we are seeing childcare workers here in Quebec stand up for better conditions and pay. I just want to say something about what happened here yesterday by sitting in the front row and seeing the workers, the sisters that are on strike that have driven 10 hours to come here and to be witnessed in front of this great delegation and seeing the support and the colleagues getting to the microphones and giving donations in the thousands and thousands of dollars. It's for that reason Marty and myself made sure that we're also going to be part of that, to show these sisters that they got the support of the entire institution. Can you imagine those sisters driving that 10 hours back, and when they get back to that picket line to see their other colleagues, coming from an event such as this, it really warms your heart to see the delegates in this room step up to the plate and support these workers that play a very crucial role. Friends, these are the folks that look after our children, and in many cases our grandchildren. They deserve to have decent salary for the work. They're the ones at the forefront that are looking after the basic needs, to making sure that women and parents can have that ability to go out and enjoy their employment and work for what they've educated themselves for, but also have security to make sure that their kids are looked after by having trained people such as that. My hat's off to you. I got to say to you, yesterday I just felt the warmth in my heart to see everybody line up, and I thank you all for that, because that is just amazing what you were able to do. One of the flaws that still remains on the federal level is that those who are pregnant cannot take preventative leave if they are working in unsafe conditions, especially for workers in federally regulated industries, and this can lead to a large loss of income. We need to change this. It is completely unacceptable that in 2021, workers still have to choose between what's best for themselves and their children or to keep their income. Friends, as you know, and Dominic has just said, we do a lot of trade work. Our work on improving trade remedy and working to reduce the amount of cheap imports coming into our markets cannot be done without our members, such as Local 6568 at Concord. All this work has been paying off, and I think that everybody knows that, as Dominic has said in the introduction, it's us that have taken on this role in regards to protecting the interests of our brothers and sisters in the steel industry, the aluminum industry, and the forestry industry. We have now worked up a mechanism that we continue to go before the CITT and defend the interests of our members. Who better knows than our members when we see that there's been an effect of products that are being dumped from other countries? That's the problem. We have to have the Canada that's going to look after the interests of making sure that they protect our products, that we don't have cheap foreign steel or aluminum coming in that is going to undercut, because we'll never ever be able to compete with countries that have poor working conditions, no unions, and they don't have any environmental standards. One of the things we've been fighting for, and we're getting very close. We're getting very close because the union has been at the forefront of lobbying the federal government that we, the steelworkers, and any other trade union should have the right to file cases before the CITT. These are our members that we're representing. We don't have any more Canadian steel companies. We don't have any more Canadian aluminum companies. So we recognize that we have global multinational corporations, and we want to make sure that our products are protected and they're not, other countries aren't dumping into. That's why we need, as a trade union, have the access that we can go before the CITT and take on those cases. And so far, we have been successful on almost every other case that we've taken forth. I know that Meg and Mark Rowlandson and others that have worked on these, we're going to continue down that path because it's so important that we protect our brothers and sisters. Friends, as you know, we've also been working with our brothers in the U.S. You heard President Conway talk yesterday about the Biden administration, about Build Back Better. You also think about the infrastructure. We're elated about the fact that you've got finally a president in the United States that actually says the word middle class, that actually says the word union workers. That'd be great if we had more of our politicians that spoke that kind of language. Even though it's very favorable to the fact that with this new infrastructure bill that's in excess of $1 trillion is going to no doubt rejuvenate the industry in the United States. But there is one provision in that infrastructure bill that we are concerned about, and that is the Buy America provision. And I can tell you that being part of an international union, we have fought this before. We did this during the Recovery Act, where they also had a Buy American provision, because Canada is not the problem. It never has been the problem. But in 2008 and 2009, under Obama and Biden at the time, we did get an exemption. Now, this bill is just going through the House now and has to go through the Senate. We're going to be asking again that Canada be exempt, because Canada is not the problem. Why would you want to punish your best neighbor? We share the longest border anywhere. The fact is, you have trade that crosses those borders on a daily basis. You've got the supply chain. We've got the integrated market. So that's an area that we have to be focused on, and we're going to work as hard as we can. This afternoon, there's a call with the government. I know that Marty and Meg are going to be on it because we're concerned about what is happening. We just need to continue to fight. I know President Conway and myself are on the same page. Our union is on the same page. We recognize that Canada is not the problem. The same as when we did the tariffs on steel and aluminum. We, our union, are the ones that fought to have those tariffs removed. So that's why it's crucially important that we recognize on both sides of the border that Canada is not the problem. One of the things we need to look at is that, as we've worked with the Canada and the United States, is on the exemption of the Buy America, is that we need to have a bilateral strategy with the U.S. to develop clean procurement strategies. We need to improve and expand the markets for steel, aluminum, and also for wood made in Quebec and the rest of Canada. We can do this through buy clean policies that take into consideration the carbon emissions from steel, aluminum, and infrastructure, is just for an example. The federal government claims also to be interested in just transition, but do they really care about workers and ensuring that they are moving towards lower carbon emissions will actually benefit working people? This is why it's up to trade unionists to make sure that we are at front and center when it comes to any discussion of just transition. And to remind the government that there's a lot that we can do right now to promote the use of clean aluminum and steel products made right here in Quebec. Friends, as you all know, this will be my final chance to speak to you as the National Director of Canada at your District 5 Assembly. I can only say to you that it's always been an honor to be invited to speak every year, to hear from our members in Quebec about all of the great work you do. Over the years, this has really allowed me to come to understand your province and your unique struggles, while also seeing that trade unionists, we all have the same core goals. I've really come to understand the importance of the language to our members in Quebec. For you to be able to speak your language in your place of work, and for your union to provide services in French. I have made it a goal, as Dominic said, to hire as many bilingual staff as possible in our national office. We have more bilingual staff in the national office today than we've ever had in the history of our national office. I have great respect for the province of Quebec and its trade union movement, in particular your commitment to organizing and building and maintaining strong worker standards. You will never back down on a fight as we see with Bill 59. And I just want to take a second about that. I listened to Julie this morning and also Felix, and I've witnessed Dominic and others sleeping in tents before your assembly. This has been an issue at the heart and soul. I listened to Dominic's opening comments yesterday. You know, the steelworkers have cut its teeth when it comes to health and safety. There's no such thing as a compromise on health and safety. Our union, is the steelworkers, is the health and safety union. And the fact is that what this government is doing in regards to Bill 59 is an embarrassment. I don't know of anybody. Workers don't get up in the morning to go to work to get killed. Workers don't go to work to get injured permanently, to lose an arm or lose a leg. Workers go to work to have some dignity and respect, to get a decent wage and salary, to make sure they have the right, the ability to fend for their family. Workers expect to go to work in a health and safety environment. That's an obligation that should be demanded and we should be successful at. You all remember Westray, the Westray disaster. It's our union that has fought for a decade to bring the law in regards to changing the criminal code, to make it a criminal act. We have always said, you kill a worker, you go to jail. You know, this country across Canada, we still kill 1,000 people a year. There's 1,000 people every day, 1,000 people a year that go to work, that don't come home. They get families no different than us. There's no reason why we can't have health and safety conditions. And then you have governments such as this right-wing government that's prepared to roll back the many things that you've had when it comes to health and safety. Shame on them. We've seen it time and time again. Yesterday morning when Donnell opened the conference, we had a moment of silence. We see every convention we go to, we see what happens. You need to fight. There is no reason why we can't have health and safety workplaces, because our union's been in the forefront, no different than the lead that you've taken here. And my hat's off to you, because we will be with you every single day to make sure that our brothers and sisters and the society has an opportunity to go to work in a health and safety manner. I just also want to share to you a few of the things, is that some of my greatest moments in my career have been through the work in this district. The first one, Dominic referred to it, is the situation that we had at Elma in 2012. This is where Rio Tinto wanted to outsource, basically would have led to the local membership being decimated. We immediately went to work, as Dominic said. I can tell you that that truly was one of my greatest highlights that I've witnessed. That's where I got to see Dominic in action. Guy Farrell, who was the assistant to Daniel Waugh. I was the one that was on the executive of the IMF and the ICM, which is the International Chemical Energy and Mining, also the International Metal Federation. We brought allies from around the world, and I literally mean around the world. We had some 8,000 people that showed up on a particular day to have this mass demonstration to fight against this unjust employer. I can say to you, brothers and sisters, that being involved in that campaign, I recognize that what global solidarity can do. That was an example that we have taken on the second largest mining company in the world, and we got them to back down. And it's only because of the fact of the solidarity and the leadership that you have shown us. The thing that came out of that particular fight is that Dominic referred to it. It was Rio Tinto that contacted us. And they wanted to talk about working a new relationship because we tarnished their reputation when they had us locked out. Because at the same time, we had a plan which says off the podium, because they had the Olympics taking place in the UK, and the Olympics was going to use the metals from Rio Tinto, and we tarnished their reputation. We went globally, so we embarrassed the hell out of them, and they finally blinked, and basically that's how we got the collective agreement. But it was after that agreement is that they reached out to us, because that relationship was never solid. I can say to you today, there's a steering committee that I had the opportunity to sit on. And I talked to some of the more senior people. And I reminded them of the Alma situation. And I'll never forget the vice president saying that we never, ever want another Alma. And the fact of the matter is that I always say to the big employers, you have an option. You have an option that we have the ability to work with us, or you have an option that we have the ability to fight. So you can pick your poison. I think that Rio Tinto has now decided it's better for them to work with us than to see another situation as we had at Alma. And my hat's off to everyone, because that's where we were able to put our marker down. That was one of the most successful global campaigns that this union's ever had in Canada. And thank you all for that. The second thing I want to talk about is the commitment that this district has shown to the Humanity Fund over the years. We were able to build the fund because of the work done in this district to show the importance of working with trade unions beyond our borders. I truly believe that the work in District 5 and the work in District 3 to support the Humanity Fund and our ally Napoleon Gomez, which Dominic referred to. As you all know, Napoleon was in exile in Canada for some 12 years. And I was proud the day we were able to march him back to Mexico, where it was not only that he had his freedom, but he was also a senator. And again, that's another product of the work that you've also been able to do. I already talked about the work. I'm very proud of the work that we've been able to do with the trade file here in Quebec on aluminum and steel. Again, those are highlights that I truly think about the work that we've been able to proceed, and I'm very glorified for that. Last but absolutely not least, I truly want to take this opportunity to thank, from the bottom of my heart, Director Dominic Lemieux, for all the work that we've been able to do together, for his friendship and for his support. I've witnessed Dominic for many, many years. He is young, he's an ambitious leader who has done an excellent job as the district director. There is no doubt in my mind that he's future leadership for our great union for many, many years to come. And I appreciate the work that we've done together, and also for the respect that he has shown to me and to the national office. I'm grateful for that, Dominic, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I also want to say to Donnell as well, for always making me feel welcome here in Quebec. Our CNO staff that are here at District 5 office, who tie together the work of the district in Quebec with the rest of Canada. You've always done such great job keeping these connections strong so we can work together as our union across to Canada. I just want to close with a few comments. As this is my last Assembly. I currently am the longest-serving member on the International Executive Board, even though I have 45 years of service. I started out as a staff in 1977, became the director of District 3 in 1989, and director national in 2004. I've had the great opportunity to work with a lot of the leadership in Quebec. We just seen them on video. Former National Director and District Director Lawrence McBurdy, Michelle Arsenault, Daniel Waugh, Alain Croteau, who's here with us today, and now with Dominic Lemieux. I can also say to you, brothers and sisters, that I've had nothing but the utmost respect for each and every one of them and the solidarity that we've been able to show together. Everything I've got, it's the union gave me. I've walked the picket line. I got fired. I got fired because I was union agitator. The union defended me, took my case to arbitration, got reinstated. I can honestly say, I don't know where my life would have led me if it wasn't for the steelworkers to defend me. All my training, I got no different than anybody in this room. Local activism. I've been very grateful for this great organization. To spend some 45 years doing the work that I get up every morning and love, helping people. You get the opportunity to do so many things. That's why in May 4th of this year, I announced to my staff that I was not going to reoffer because my term will officially end under the Constitution in March 1 of 2022. As you all know, that we've just gone through international elections. We had the nomination process in September, and the elections were held just a few days ago where there was contests. And in that election process, that Marty Warren, who's here with us today, and you got introduced yesterday, who decided to take a run for the position of National Director, and he got the nominations. He was uncontested, so he's now referred to as National Director-elect, and he will no doubt take over as the National Director of Canada on March the 1st. Marty and I are already busy working at the transition. I recognize that, coming from the district, he's currently at the district, and now moving on to the nationals, that we're basically exchanging many of the files. We recently did some travel to the UK and getting to know some of the international files. Let me say a few things about Marty. Marty comes from the rubber workers. He worked at a plant in Kitchener, Ontario. Rubber workers joined the steelworkers by merger in 1985. He was a strong rank-and-file activist. He became a staff in District 6 in 2004, and then he moved out to become the director in District 6 in 2013. I can only tell you this. Ever since I've known him, he's hardworking, he's a great team player, and he's done some wonderful work in moving District 6 forward. He has shown great leadership, and I'm very confident that Marty will do very well as being the National Director of Canada. I also see, and I've got some warmth in my heart, the fact is that I refer to it as the new Team Canada. You got Marty is going to become the National Director, and I see Miles Sullivan that's next to him is going to succeed him as the District Director. You got Dominic Lemieux, who's the District 5 Director. There's a recent election in District 3, which is going to be a replacement, and the fact is that we've got to go through the process. So I kind of see that as, I refer to as the new Team Canada. I know, to me, when I look at this Team Canada, I have that warmth, that it kind of reminds me of the Montreal Canadiens in the 7th game of the Stanley Cup. That's how I see this new Team Canada going forward and making sure that the union takes on the challenges that are lies ahead of us. I've told many people since I've had the opportunity to speak to. I'm retiring from a position. I'm not retiring from life. I intend to be as active as I possibly can, or we're asked to be, because it's something that I've done my entire life, and that's something that I've always enjoyed. I'm hopeful that we'll get to see many of you at events, be it international conventions or other events that I have the opportunity to attend to. But I do want to say this. I want to thank all of you, the delegates, District 5, for the many years, the respect that you've all shown me. It's the pride that I have, your kindness. This is a great union, and you make it great. I want to thank you for all the work that you do on behalf of your members, because it's important. And I also know, brothers and sisters, that you're going to continue to kick some ass for the working class. Thank you, and God bless.
Fort inspirant. Voir un leader comme ça s'adresser à nous pour la dernière fois. Merci, Ken. Merci pour ton discours. Merci pour tes bons mots. Puis, ne sois pas inquiète qu'on va continuer à en emboîter. On va continuer à en emboîter des culs. Sois convaincu de ça. Donc, on va poursuivre avec la vidéo sur le recrutement. Vous savez, le recrutement est fort important. Laurence en a parlé tantôt quand Clément Godbout est arrivé.